Hello, everyone. We're finally live this week. We were going to go live tomorrow afternoon, probably, to get everything wrapped up from this week news-wise. There's been a lot of news in the past 24 hours, obviously. Today we're doing our final college predictions. We're doing the AAC, aka the American. That's updated because there has been some changes with some of the team schedules in recent weeks. And then we're going to do the Sun Belt and Conference USA. And then we're also going to do two of the teams from the Independents because some BYU and Army have had updated schedules. So we're going to do those. So we're going to start real quick with we're gonna we're gonna start with the Independents. We're gonna start with Army, and so here we are. We're gonna start with Army. They added some games against some American Conference with Cincinnati. They added some games against the Sun Belt and Conference USA with teams like Middle Tennessee, UNL Monroe, UTSA. Uh, they also added Air Force, so the President's Trophy will be up for grabs this year. Air Force will play Army and Navy. Um, so I don't know exactly for sure if Air Force will be playing more than just those games. I'm going to double check that real quick before I go into. Obviously, you can look. Much hasn't changed. Their only loss is going to Cincinnati. They're playing a lot of smaller schools too. They added three FCS opponents in the Citadel, uh, Alabine, Alabine Christian, and Mercer. Um, so Air Force is only going to play Navy and Army this year. They're going to play Navy on October 3rd, and then they're going to play or Navy on October 3rd, and then they play Army on the 17th or the 7th of November. Now they're going to play just those two games. Their football team is to, I guess, still have a chance at the President's Cup or trophy, whatever it's called exactly. I forget. But I don't think it's gonna matter because I honestly don't think they'll win either. And I have Army going away with winning both games against Army and Navy or Air Force and Navy. We're going to go over to BYU now. They are up to 8 total games now. Obviously, having them losing to Navy and Army. They have Troy, UTSA, Texas State, Western Kentucky, and they are now playing Northern Alabama now. So those games, they added a bunch of teams from Conference USA and the Sun Belt, and they got Northern Alabama to play them now. So they are going to play 8 games instead of 5. They added, enough games so they can play more than 5. That's kind of better. I don't have them reaching bowl eligibility still, though, even with them playing 8 games. I have them missing it by 1 game, I guess, if they were to. I mean, I think they're gonna lose Monday, and then on the 19th, I don't think they're gonna win to Army. So there's no real way I think that they can make it unless somehow they beat Navy in week 1. So that's the only way they'll become bowl eligible in my mind. I mean, because I think Houston's going to do fine and make it back to the bowl eligibility. So that's all for that. So now we're going to go to our next one, and that is the American Conference. We're going to do the updated version of that. We're going to start with Cincy and Cincinnati. They're going to play Austin Peay and Army this year non-conference, so that knocked them down 2 games, I believe, out of their original schedule. So now I have them going 10-0 and 8-0 in the conference, winning every conference game still. We're just going to go through these real quick. I don't believe much has changed. These I don't think have changed at all team-wise. Some dates may have changed. Some, like Cincinnati had some Friday night games, I believe, or some games during the week, and now they are strictly every games on Saturday. UCF has a Friday night game on their last day of the game. I almost said day of the week. Nothing has changed for Temple except for some games shifting on days. They're still going to play Thursday against SMU. They didn't get any games non-conference wise scheduled. So USF, they're going to play Citadel, Notre Dame, and FAU out of conference. So there's that. And that I'm not going over the bigger schools during this because this was originally intended for the group of 5 schools. So, and this is just an update on the AAC. So they're going to have 2 Friday games. We're going to go to the East Carolina schedule now. They still have Georgia State, and they have their Friday night game away in Tulsa. We're going to go to Memphis now. They're still going to open up on this Saturday against Arkansas State at home in Memphis. So that should be, I think that's on ESPN and it might be on CBS Sports Network. I forget. They have 3 Friday night games this year, which is surprising. They have their Houston game, their Texas San Antonio game, and then their senior night against Tulane. Now let's go to the Midshipmen of Navy. As I said when I was in BYU, they play on this coming Monday. I have them only losing twice. They lose to USF, and then they lose in Philly to Army. The Pony Express of SMU. It's stayed the same. Some of the dates changed. TCU game is now on the 11th. And Temple is still on a Thursday. Tulane game is on a Friday night now. I didn't change any of the records unless their games changed or like if they added games or lost games. That's the only way their records changed from previous videos. Houston and Tulane will play on a Thursday night. Tulane will play then on the 16th, and they'll close out the season on the 27th of November against Memphis at home. So we're going to go to Houston now. And they open against Memphis, North Texas, BYU. They're only on conference games. They're going to barely be bowl eligible, but they're going to be bowl eligible. Then you got Tulsa. They're playing ranked Oklahoma State, and they're going to play Arkansas State, both away games. They have back-to-back Friday night games. I think that was new, but it doesn't help them at all. Zoom out a little on this. Everything stays the same. Cincinnati and Navy. Cincinnati wins, though. Navy's going to go to a bowl game. Here's the final standings. Take a little bit for you guys to look at that. And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And now we're going to go on to the Sun Belt. So with the Sun Belt, Appalachia State is the defending East Division champs, or whatever division it is. I believe it's the East. They open it up against Conference USA opponents in Charlotte and Marshall. They also play FCS opponent Campbell. They start off well. They go undefeated. They play back-to-back Wednesday night games on the 7th and 14th of October against Louisiana Lafayette and Georgia Southern. So then we're going to go to Coastal Carolina, who is one of the teams that plays Liberty this year, kind of saved Liberty's schedule. We also have Kansas is who they are opening up against. They're one of the teams that are playing one of the bigger schools. I believe they're going to win. After I started this, I started looking at the results from last year and saw that Coastal Carolina is actually not as good as this. But you never know. This could happen. It could not happen. You never know what's going to happen. They also are another team that's going to play Campbell. We're going to go to the Georgia schools now. We're starting off with Georgia Southern. They're going to play Campbell week 1, and they're going to play FAU from Conference USA. They're also going to play Army in Army. And they're going to end their way at our next. They're going to end in Georgia State, which is our next person. They're going to start off against Louisiana Lafayette. They play Charlotte and East Carolina. In non-conference, they are one of the schools that didn't have as many out-of-conference teams. Trying to think. This might have been the conference that has Old Dominion in it, if I remember right. No, it's not. That's the one that's Conference USA. But yeah, Georgia State not doing good. We're gonna move to Troy now. Have them going 7-5. Obviously, they have a little break between some conference play. They play BYU, Eastern Kentucky, Middle Tennessee twice. They agreed to play each other twice this year to kind of get some extra games in. We're going to go to Arkansas State, who we had been talking about earlier in the American video. They're going to play Kansas State and Memphis. As I talked about earlier, the American, they're going to play on Saturday. They're going to play Central Arkansas, who was part of the Week 0 kickoff with the FCS kickoff. They beat Austin Peay, or however you say it. They came back and won, but I don't think that's going to happen against Central Arkansas. I have Central Arkansas repeating their record from last year. Louisiana Lafayette, who I saw in person last year against Ohio University. Real good team. Think they're going to do good, only lose to App State in the conference. They face a good Iowa State team. Obviously, they'll face UAB, who we'll get to here in a little bit, and they'll face Central Arkansas too. When I say we'll get to in a little bit, when we get to Conference USA, we'll get to UAB. USA is South Alabama. Is the University of South Alabama. They play two schools from Conference USA, and then they play an American school. I only have them winning one game, and that is to Texas State. Excuse me. Texas State. Speaking of them, Ohio University was supposed to play them this year, but due to the MAC not playing, we canceled that. We were also supposed to play Boston College. Obviously, Texas State filled in our spot, and they're going to play Boston College instead of us. And so they're going to play each other on the 26th. I have them only winning 2 games to Georgia Southern and UNL Monroe, who we're going to get to next. UNL Monroe, who goes 4-8 and 3-5 in the division. They have a neutral site game against Louisiana Tech on the 21st of November. They play Army and Liberty, 2 independents that got help. They helped. Then they play UTEMP and Louisiana Tech out of Conference USA. Here we go to the championship. This I zoomed in too close. So obviously you're going to see the App State undefeated and Louisiana Lafayette at 8-3 and 7-1 in the division, or conference actually, not division. Face off, and App State's going to win. Here's the final overall results. So here we go. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. No. Sorry, I've been having difficulties with Excel, like for the past half hour when I was finishing up this stuff, and it's kind of still being that way. So now we're going to move on to the CUSA, otherwise known as Conference USA. So here we go. They play App State, North Carolina, Georgia State, and Duke. So they play 2 ACC and 2 Sun Belt teams. Charlotte, I don't think is going to do good. They're going to be, if they win one of their non-conference games, that they're not supposed to. Maybe the Duke game, or maybe the North Carolina game. They surprise North Carolina and win that. Maybe they become bowl eligible, but they're barely going to be able to. Here we go with FAU, the defending division and conference champs. They play Georgia Southern in South Florida. They have a Friday night game against FIU. I have them going undefeated 9-0 overall and 7-0 in the division or conference. Speaking of FIU, Florida International, they are only playing Liberty non-conference, and then the rest of it is conference play. So their one loss out of conference is to Liberty, and then they get 2-5 in conference play. Now we're going to go to Marshall, who Ohio played last year, and I got to go to that because it is in Huntington, and it was a really good game. The stadium's really nice. They tried to play East Carolina, just couldn't get it done. They're going to play Eastern Kentucky on this Saturday, and they're going to play App State on the 19th. If you can't find their games on ESPN's networks or ESPN Plus or CBS Sports Network, look on Facebook Watch or whatever it is that you can watch sports on Facebook. That's what Ohio and Marshall's game was on. So just be aware of that. They're going to go 5-4, obviously, because App State I have going undefeated. If they would have had another non-conference game, maybe on the 26th, if they would have been able to get someone to come in and play them on the 26th, maybe that would have helped them become bowl eligible, but they are only playing 9 games. So we're going to move on to Middle Tennessee. They're going to play Army, and they're doing the Troy double games. I think the Army and the 2 games against Troy is going to hurt them. But also, they're not a good overall football team. They're a better basketball school. Uh, our women's team played them in the NIT last year. Uh, so, um, obviously, Western Kentucky on Liberty and BYU schedule. They're also playing an ACC team in Louisville, and they're playing FCS Chattanooga. They barely make it to bowl eligibility. That's the normal bowl eligibility. I should point that out. We don't know what the bowl eligibility will be. There probably will be teams that go like 5 and something that may make it into a bowl if we get to bowls this year. So now we're going to get to the West in Louisiana Tech. Trying to who the defending champ is in this division, but it doesn't matter right now. They're playing UNL Monroe from Sunbelt, as we talked about earlier, in a neutral site. They're playing FCS Houston Baptist, and then they're also playing Baylor from the Big 12. Have them going 9-2, so they were second place last year in the division. So I believe to Louisiana Lafayette who was the winner of the division last year. They only lose 1 game in the division or conference, and I believe that's App State. North Texas is also going to play Houston Baptist. They're going to play SMU and Houston also. A lot of the Texas schools in non-conference play seem to be playing each other, and which is good. That way they don't have to travel far for non-conference play. Then you have their schedule. They're going to go 4-7 and 3-5. That may end up being in the bowl eligibility. I hope not, though. I hope at least you only go 5 and something and make the bowl, and not 4 and something and make a bowl. Rice was supposed to play Houston on September 3rd. That was postponed. Last I checked, and I will double check right now while we're live to see if they have scheduled anything. But I do not believe they're supposed to play now until October 3rd, and they're strictly going to play they're not playing anyone. They're strictly going to play a conference-only schedule. So it'll be interesting since they don't have any non-conference opponents to play to maybe get them up to bowl eligibility, even though they probably aren't going to be one of those teams that will be there. Now we're moving on to Southern Mississippi, one of those teams that will be there as a good team. They play a Friday night game, and then they play tonight in one of the opening games against South Alabama. That's another reason why I'm just trying to get this out as soon as possible. They're going to go 8-4 and 4-4 in the division. I think they're going to be a team that will definitely be bowl eligible. They're a good team. They're going to be one of those teams maybe once App State leaves and goes to a bigger conference. I'm not saying that not like a Power 5 team or become a Power 5 team, but like maybe goes and leaves Conference USA to maybe join one of the more older established group of 5 conferences like the American or the MAC, who are more established and have more media deals and could possibly bring them in more money. I know it would be more interesting because App State would have to then go north more for a lot of the MAC, and then for the American, it'd kind of be the same geographic wise. But South Alabama or Southern or Mississippi could be a team in the future that does good. We're going to move on to the University of Alabama Birmingham, who has only been back a few years. Or wait, no, it was UAB who won the division last year. Louisiana Lafayette's in the other conference that we did before this. That's my bad. They're going to play Central Arkansas, Miami Hurricanes, USA, and Louisiana Lafayette. UAB's only been back like a few years, and they've already like really good. I wouldn't be surprised if they knock off App State actually in the conference championship game. A little spoiler because I have them going 10-1 and 7-0 in conference play. They don't play FAU. We're going to go to UTEMP, University of Texas, El Paso. As you can see, they're playing two. I don't know if this school's in Texas or not, but they're playing at least two Texas teams and UNL Monroe non-conference. I have them splitting the games 2-2. So and then they go 3-9 and 1-7 overall. Now the University of Texas San Antonio, who plays BYU and Army, Memphis, Texas State, and Stephen F. Austin. They got 5 non-conference games, which was able to get them to 12, which is the most I believe out of any of the teams in Conference USA. It also stinks because at least 3 of those teams, non-conference wise, is probably just a payday for them. They're going to probably just get paid by BYU, Army, and Memphis probably to just come. Well, the Army game and the Memphis game's at home, but BYU is probably at least going to pay them to come there and lose. I have them going 2-10 winless in the whole conference. Here we go. I actually have UAB beating FAU just because FAU has a new coaching. He wasn't the interim coach in the conference championship or bowl game, whichever one he was interim in, I believe. So Willie Taggart was at his former school before he came, so he's completely starting over. There's still enough good raw talent on the team to get to the undefeated. But I think UAB has enough talent that they could possibly pull up the upset. We're going to scroll over to this. Also, Old Dominion is not playing, so we don't have every team playing this year. So I'm just going to let that be up there for a little. Okay. And we're not going to stop sharing the screen. And so that's it. So I believe we're gonna check what times and networks everything is on tonight for the football games. So tonight at 8 o'clock, Central Arkansas and UAB are on. At 8 o'clock on ESPN3, and UAB is favored by 21 points. And South Alabama and Southern Mississippi are on at 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, and Southern Mississippi is favored by 13. So those are your 2 games on tonight. Then on Saturday, things kick off at 1 p.m. with Marshall, Eastern Kentucky. 1:30, you got Army in Middle Tennessee. 4:30, you got SMU Texas State on ESPN. The Marshall game's on ESPN, and the Army game is on CBS Sports Network. Marshall is favored by 24.5. Army's favored by 3.5. SMU is favored by 22. Let's see. Then on ESPN3 at 7:30, you have North Texas and Houston Baptist. North Texas is favored by 27.5. 8 p.m. on ESPN, you have Arkansas State, Memphis. Memphis is favored by 19. And then you have Stephen F. Austin and UTEMP at 9 on ESPN3. UTEMP is favored by 8.5. And then Monday night on ESPN, you have BYU at Navy. at 8 p.m. on the 7th. BYU is favored by 1.5 points. So that they're saying it's supposed to be a close, good game for BYU, and Navy, obviously. So, trying to think. Just there's a lot of football. There's 2 games tonight. Try and find them if you can. If you have CBS Sports Network, there's at least 3 games you can watch this weekend. If you have I'm sure the ESPN3 stuff will be on, the app or Plus. And then obviously Monday they're going to have that. And then this coming Thursday, a week from tonight, the NFL season will be kicking off. So that'll be nice. And that's it. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for our regular broadcast and subscribe, notification bell, comments, leave a like, Instagram,